same musicians I've been using for the last few years since I've been living up in Ithaca. Doug Robinson and Michael Wellen on drums, the Burns sisters on harmonies.
Wow.
Yeah, Annie and Marie Burns singing. Marie sings on a lot of this record. Marie sang more than Annie on this one. They sang on the last record too. And they're great Irish folk singers out of Ithaca. They've been around since the 80s. They've toured with Arlo Guthrie quite a few times. And really wonderful folks, and Judy Hyman from the Horseflies. Have you ever heard of them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, great band out of Ithaca. I mean, I saw them back at Clearwater when I was like 20. They're still playing. Yeah. Oh yeah, you did that. I saw you there a few years ago. I remember. Yeah. Well,
We just happened down to the
You go in
waterfront, and right then was when you were going on.
Yeah,
And this was a big site with multiple stages
2014.
all over, and we just happened to wander right onto the spot where he was going to play within a couple of minutes. It was very kismetish.
Well, speaking of which, of course, just 2 days ago was Pete Seeger's birthday, and May 3rd, so we should remember that. And that's why I was playing Clearwater out here, because we had recorded this project to honor Pete and the Almanac Singers the year before, the Almanac Trail, the album that we made, yeah. And that was a wonderful experience, yeah. And Pete narrated the album, and then he died 6 months later. So the long story about that record is it's only available on digital now because we pressed 1,000 copies of the CD. We did the tour, and then Pete passed away, and we figured, well, it costs a lot of money to make CDs. Let's let those 1,000 be the ones that are out there for those who bought them during the tour. But you can still get it digitally. It's called The Almanac Trail. Pete Seeger narrates it, tells the story of the Almanac Singers, Woody Guthrie, Pete Seeger, Bill Lampell, and Lee Hayes, and this tour in 1941 they did around the country, yeah. Well, anyway, I got off the track there. You did it. No. What was I talking about?
Clearwater.
Clearwater. No, before Clearwater. I forget. Well, anyway.
A song you did at Clearwater recently?
No. But I know what song I was going to sing in next. But
The
anyway.
expensive.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. Oh, yeah.
Expensive your backup.
I know. Judy Hyman, great fiddler.
Okay.
Right. I first saw her at Clearwater back in now. Judy Hyman is in the Horseflies, but she also scores a lot of the PBS films that you've seen, the American history films. She's a great musician. And her dad just happens to be Dick Hyman, famous jazz pianist, right? Who's of course scored a lot of Woody Allen's films, among other things. So Judy played on the Cross the Great Divide, the song I just sang on the record. And so all these wonderful musicians are on the new record. Unfortunately, Alan Parker's not, because he lives in Brooklyn. Maybe next time we'll get him up there. But I wrote this song. I don't know if I sang it when I was here last year. I'd just written it a month or so before I got here, probably. I wrote this in Australia last year. It's a song about the experience of Vietnam veterans in Australia. Because I've heard a lot. I'm touring there for 7 years. And I've heard so many stories from different people over the years now that all we get in this one song called Johnny's Coming Home. And I'll try to keep the story short, but first off, I heard years ago, when I first started touring Australia, I'd mentioned that I'd sung for veterans and that I produced an album about veterans and about PTSD, the first one in 2010 called Until You Come Home. We just made this new one, which I'll tell you about a little bit later. Often people would come up to me and say, oh yeah, let me tell you a little bit about my experience. Or a couple of times I had veterans themselves who had fought in Vietnam came up and told me how they felt and how the country was even more opposed to the Vietnam War than the U.S. was, because they didn't think it was their war. They appreciated us saving them in World War II, but they certainly didn't think they should be in Vietnam. And then there's this story about the Mount Kembla mine disaster. Mount Kembla is south of Sydney, about an hour. And it's one of the biggest it is the biggest mining disaster in Australian history. Happened around 1899. And about 92 or something miners, mostly all men, some of them young boys though, were killed when the mine exploded. And they just sealed the mine up, the tunnels, right? But those tunnels still existed leading into the mine, up until the point where they were sealed. And the story was that after World War I, some of the Australian veterans came home, and they couldn't live in the town of Mount Kembla anymore, because of what they'd seen and done and how they felt about what they'd seen and done. And so they lived in those caves for many, many years after World War I. and you know, would come down maybe for supplies or whatever, but people rarely saw those guys. And they were locals, you know, people had known them from the time they were kids. And then eventually they either passed on or moved on or died or whatever, and those caves got abandoned again. But then during the Vietnam War, they got repopulated by young Australian men coming home. And some of them felt the same thing as their World War I veterans had felt 60 years earlier. They couldn't live among their people. And that led to this song. I heard the story of a couple of guys, and I know people from that town, who said they had known these men. They didn't know them well, but they'd known them in their youth. And they didn't come home for 30 years or more before they finally showed their face again back in Mount Kimball. And so all that bubbled up in this song about a woman wondering where her boy Johnny went and if he's ever going to make it home. It's called Johnny's Coming Home.
When I'm serving Vietnam, so many years since he's been gone, and I waited all of this time. I stayed at home, fought against that war. Once on the news, I thought I saw him marching in the Anzac line. And I cried, Johnny's coming home. Tossed into an American war, they drew marbles from the Tattersall's bar. Then they went on to fight, some went off to die. We tried hard just to save our sons, but for all of those boys it had just begun, and they lingered on like dead fruit on the vine. Till I cried, Johnny's coming home. And I prayed, Johnny's coming home. Next I knew it was 73. A letter came, said forget about me, and not the man that you'd want me to be. 40 years I kept hoping we'd meet. I seen so many ghosts shuffling down the street. I kept turning my head, open to that face so sweet. And I cried, Johnny, won't you come home? And I prayed, Johnny, won't you come home? And I know you still feel ashamed, but I know you was on the blame. Just yesterday I was sweeping the floor. A soft knock came on my front door, and old man standing there as I opened it wide. Fell in my arms as the tears rolled down, held on so tight as it swung me around, and I said, Brother, won't you please come inside?